Oh yeah, happy Friday everybody. Welcome back to DEGREELESSNESS, the happiest show on earth. I'm your host, Shanghai Pete, trusted member of the media, 21st century digital boy, high-tech lowlife, the people's champion, and of course your very good buddy in the mix. It's been quite a week, hasn't it? Lots of nonsense abounds, lots of shit to talk, so that being the case, instead of doing a weekly recap before our main story will instead just be about the past week, namely, two things from the past week. You already know what it is, let's get deep inside. Okay, so let's get this out of the way first. Yes, there is a new Final Fantasy VII Rebirth trailer doing the rounds, and watching it made me want to eat a fucking window. For those of you hoping maybe they'd redeem themselves out of nowhere with this second installment and somehow course correct, I regret to inform you that is very much not the case. Now, I'll pause here before going any further so all the Square Enix apologists can go ahead and downvote the video since we all know they're not going to stick around and watch the whole thing anyway. Alright. Good? Okay. Guys, I'm tired. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I finally lost my shit. Maybe this is all my fault. Perhaps I have unrealistic expectations. But I don't know about y'all, but when I sit down and play a game called Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy VII Remake, I'm doing that because I want to play Final Fantasy VII. I don't want to play some action game or some weird third-person faux RPG or some deranged, hollowed-out nightmare that simply bears a superficial aesthetic resemblance to Final Fantasy VII. No, I want to play Final Fantasy VII, and if what I get is not Final Fantasy VII, and instead some other game that just looks like Final Fantasy VII, sort of, I'm not gonna like that, and I'd really appreciate it if people would stop telling me that I fucking have to. And also, what is this shit with the unknown journey continues? Why the fuck is it unknown? The reason that I'm playing is presumably because of the very fact that it is not unknown. That it is known as the game Final Fantasy VII. Let's imagine for a second that the Resident Evil 2 remake drops and Capcom was all like, surprise! It's kinda like that game with Leon and Claire and the police station with the zombies, except now you have to buy it separately in 3 different parts, and we totally changed the story to something that you're not familiar with at all. Also, we've replaced the zombies with floating garbage bags that time travel. How would people have reacted to that? I'm guessing not so good. Look, I've long said, if Square Enix wants to make Final Fantasy Randomizer Gaiden Kingdom Hearts 7.5 Remix, like, that's honestly fine. I don't give a shit. Make whatever the fuck you want. Just call it what it is. But this, guys, you called it Final Fantasy VII. You used the same goddamn box art from the original. You knew what you were doing. You told us we would get a Final Fantasy VII Remake, and God forbid, again, maybe it's my fault, but that's what I fucking expected. That's what I wanted, and I dare say that's probably what most of you wanted as well. But, like, fuck, I don't even know what I'm looking at anymore. I don't know what game this is supposed to be, and at this point, I don't understand why I'm supposed to care. At best, this is some fan fiction version of FF7. Like, someone stuffed FF7 into a randomizer and then tossed the results into some mediocre generic action game. Like, I'm sorry, but watching beloved RPGs from my childhood be hacked apart and turned into shallow action games that are barely recognizable as the source material, I don't know, it's just not something that excites me. Maybe I'm weird. Perhaps there's some of you out there that don't mind that they're turning the original narrative and story of FF7 inside out and upside down and splitting it into 3 separate action games. Maybe this still looks good to some of you, and if so, great, enjoy. But I wish that Square Enix would understand that there is a lot of us for whom that holds zero appeal. Like, I didn't just like FF7 because Tifa had big polygon PSX titties and I thought Cloud's stoicism and lack of personality were super cool. Now, I know this may be hard for modern devs to understand, but Final Fantasy VII, or any good game really, is not just aesthetics. You can't just slap the characters and locations from one game into a new one and say it's the same thing. It fucking is not. Why do we not count the battle system, combat mechanics, narrative, storytelling, or character arcs among those things? Why is all of a sudden none of that relevant? Why does none of that matter? None of that was important to the identity of Final Fantasy VII. The only thing that made Final Fantasy VII was the aesthetics of the locations and characters. Really? As long as we got Cloud and Tifa in there, oh, it must be Final Fantasy VII, great. Like, I don't know about anybody else, but I liked the combat system and narrative from the original. I liked the story. Those were my favorite parts. Neither of those are present in the first part of this abominable remake, and it looks like it's only getting worse. They continue to butcher the story and utterly molest the combat system, and what's left is a game that barely superficially resembles Final Fantasy VII, but nothing more. Even if this new patchwork atrocity appeals to you, like, I gotta ask, wouldn't you have preferred the actual Final Fantasy VII? I mean, I know I would have. Am I really so crazy for wanting to play a remake of the actual Final Fantasy VII? I cannot be the only one who did not want to play Kingdom Hearts Final Fantasy 7.5 Remix, alright? And it's not like what we're asking for here is unprecedented. There are plenty of examples of remakes, even from the last couple years, that are actual remakes and not just aesthetic Potemkin villages meant to lure uninformed consumers and their wallets into a trap. Like the Dead Space remake, an actual remake and very good. The RE2 and 4 remakes, actual remakes and also very good. The recent System Shock remake, again, an actual remake and very good. So it's definitely possible. Square Enix just didn't want to do it because creating an actual remake was not what this was or is about. They couldn't be any clearer that this project, first and foremost, is about milking money from customers. As much as they can, as many times as they can. Y'all had no interest in creating a faithful remake of a classic game because you knew that if you did that, you could only sell one copy per customer. What you had interest in instead was using superficial parts of a beloved game to engage in aesthetic pandering to sell a bad faith attempt to trick people into buying new school, committee-designed, modern slop over and over again for as many platforms as possible, as many times as possible, over as many years as possible, in as many parts as possible. Something that would definitely not have been a possibility if you just did a one and done remake. Straight up. Like, this is not even going to be on PC for years. Now, I understand that there's people that like this and that are excited about it even. That's fine. I get it. But people also need to understand that many of us wanted was Final Fantasy VII, not some weird game that just kind of looks like it, or, it's not really Final Fantasy VII, but it has that red dog that talks, so it's basically the same thing, right? No, this is now a totally different thing that simply shares some locations and characters from a game that I used to like when I was a kid. And I'm sorry, but I don't have to like it. And neither do you. So no, I do not like what Square Enix has done here. In fact, I fucking hate it. I mean, go ahead, bring on the downvotes, motherfucker. This shit sucks, and deep down, I think you know that too. And finally today, we do need to talk about this Apple monstrosity, affectionately called the Vision Pro. Wow. Ugh. Gee. What? You can't be serious. This is a product that's already failed multiple times from multiple companies. Like, I don't know how many more things need to fail before people get it through their head. There is no mass market for a computer that you wear on your face. There just isn't, much less a fucking iPad. The hardware tech, it's simply not there. Case in point, the battery hangs off your face on a cord, for fuck's sake. Like, until you can put this shit in contact lenses or just like a regular pair of glasses, like, it's a no-go. I'm sorry. Like, this is additional ad space. Nothing more. Now we can put ads in your fucking eyes, so you literally can't see anything else. Brilliant. I'm glad that experience now has an almost $4,000 price tag. That's fantastic. What's next, Apple? You guys gonna drop an NFT too? Like, Jesus Christ. Well, first, keep in mind, this is not usable as a regular VR headset. A lot of people thought that was the case. No, it's not. Thinking maybe, oh, I'll save up for this, then we'll get dual use out of it as not only a face pad, but also to play like Half-Life Alyx and that one other game that's halfway decent in VR. No. Unless you want to play Death Stranding, a game that, let's be honest, I mean, it was cool, but it was kind of mid, right? In a way that it was not intended to be played, then you're out of luck. Did y'all see Hideo Kojima's video on their presentation? Like, it looks like a hostage video. It was, I don't know, I felt bad for that dude watching it. So, no games. This thing has one use. It's an iPad you wear on your face. That's it. An iPad that you wear on your face and can only control with gestures, your eyes, and your voice. Like, does anyone want to take a guess at how precise that's gonna be? No one cares about using the goddamn Photos app in VR, all right? No one wants to have to wear something on their face to watch TV. We just went through a pandemic, right? Where everyone whined and threw tantrums about having to wear little pieces of cloth on their face that prevented people from getting sick. And Apple thinks that those same fucking idiots are gonna drop 4 bands to put something back on their face, this time over their eyes? It's fucking insanity. It's not happening. Although, I guess you probably could make an argument that all the people whining about having to wear masks are not really Apple's primary customer base, so I guess there is that. Secondly, I'm sorry, but VR was, is, and for the foreseeable future will be nothing more than a gimmick, an expensive novelty toy. It doesn't matter if you're trying to play a video game or watch TV, it's a gimmick. Now, I'm not saying it's not kinda cool with the right games or in the right context, but kind of cool is not nearly appealing enough for a mass market product, all right? If this was like just the first few years of VR or something, maybe I'd feel differently. Maybe I'd be a little more optimistic. I mean, after all, I did have one of those Oculus dev kits like 10 fucking years ago or something. But guys, it's been like a decade. If VR was gonna pop off, it fucking would have. If I don't have a VR set, you have failed. If you can't get someone like me into VR, a person who's been playing video games their entire life, spends a huge portion of their disposable income on them, and loves them so much that he rants about them in his free time on the internet, like, I'm sorry, it's just not happening. In all this time, we've gotten exactly one game that anyone who's not an insanely online nerd even stands a chance of knowing about for VR, and that's Half-Life Alyx. Think about that. One game! And even then, people like me still haven't even felt like we're missing out on anything. Yo, they can't even get people to buy it for PlayStation, and it's never gonna get more accessible or plug and play than that. And they still can't get anyone to buy it. And that shit's barely like $600, not 4,000. Find me someone who is going to drop $4,000 on a gimped face computer before they'd buy an iMac. You can't, and you won't, because as I continuously reiterate, and still no one seems to want to understand, people do not want to wear anything on their fucking face. It's really that simple. If you can't get kids to do it for video games, you're not gonna get anyone else to do it for the Photos app or Zoom or fucking whatever people use Macs for. Couldn't you guys have, like, I don't know, made something fucking cool? I mean, come on, you haven't done fuck all with our phones in like a decade except add more cameras, and now this is all you have to show for us? Fucking goggles that project fake videos of your eyes to people? Holy shit. Now, all that being said, we are the fairest channel in America, so we must also add this caveat. I mean, guys, it is Apple. If anyone could take something this fundamentally useless, objectionable, and just offensively overpriced, and somehow, against all odds, make it work and convince poor broke people that they need to buy it and they gotta have one, I mean, it would be Apple, right? So don't count them out just yet, but still, Jesus fucking Christ. All right, that's our show. Thank you so much for chilling with us tonight. We love you today. We love you all the way. What do y'all think about this? Did the new trailer change your mind about Rebirth? Are you on board now? Tell us why or why not in the comments down below. Also, feel free to tell me to go fuck myself in the comments down below. That's always lovely. And what about this new Apple perversity? Y'all down to drop 4 bands on an iPad that you wear on your face? Yeah, lots of fun coming down the pipe to be had by all. What a wonderful life it is, guys. We'll see you next week, where we will inevitably confront whatever fresh hell awaits us there. Oh, and there was also a super awesome trailer for Space Marine 2. That fucking ruled.
Woke up, smoke up, blunt, then I pass out. Pass out. Woke up, what up, smoke up, blunt, then I'm back down. Back down. What? Woke up, smoke up, blunt, then I pass out. Pass out. Woke up, what up, smoke up, blunt.